This is Advisorpedia's Power Your Advice podcast, and I'm Doug Heikkinen. We have with us Jason Ozur, who's the CEO of Lido Advisors. Lido Advisors had multiple team additions last year. They started 2024 with $19 billion under advisement and now has grown to $29 billion. That's some significant growth. So welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
Let's go back to where you started your career as a CPA. Let's talk about that, and how do you think that experience shaped your leadership style in the wealth management world?
Yeah, when you start as a CPA, and specifically when I started, I was able to obtain valuable insight into complex investments because my specialty was in audits and tax returns of hedge funds. And so being able to see complex investments so early in my career was really additive when I made the switch from being a CPA into the wealth management business.
So your background in accounting, did it influence the way you manage and have grown Lido?
100%. I mean, as a CPA, number one, you learn early on in your career the value of a fiduciary relationship, and understanding to always put the client first is something you learn as a CPA. And the same is true in the wealth management business, in that the client always has to come first. And that truly is the definition of a fiduciary relationship.
Before Lido, you spent some time in a family office. What are some of the key lessons you took from that experience that you've applied to your work at Lido?
Well, when you've seen one family office, you've seen one family office. And the same is true. Every client is going to have their own special, unique, bespoke family dynamics. And you have to approach each client without any preconceived notions on what they're looking for within the family, what they're looking for their investments, what they're looking for as far as their financial planning. You got to approach it with a clean slate, no different than, what you'd see in the family office community.
As I mentioned, you've grown so much in the recent years. What's been the biggest shift in how the firm operates, and what's been the most rewarding part of that growth?
Yeah, originally, Lido was formed as a multifamily office. And over time, we've been able to take our family office services and utilize the platform for clients that might not have, 50, 60, 70, 100, $200 million. And so over time, we've brought in clients that, we'll call it in the $1 to $500 million range. And, the most gratifying thing for all of us is seeing our clients achieve their financial goals first and foremost. And secondarily, as the CEO of the company, we have brought many individuals into the company who maybe this was their first job or second job. They started with us in their mid-20s, and to see them also achieve financial success, get married, buy their house, has been super gratifying for us.
Does Lido have its own distinct vibe?
It does. One of the things that we are hyper-focused on is our culture. We screen our employees vigorously. We do personality tests. And, when you talk about Lido's growth from $19 billion to what now is over $30 billion today, the most important thing when your company's experience growth is maintaining the right culture within the firm. And sometimes with M&A, it's hard to maintain the culture, but our M&A strategy is very simple. It's talent first and geography second. And it's that talent that you have to recruit and make sure that talent is going to foster the culture that the firm currently has, and it doesn't change on a go-forward basis.
So what are your goals for the Lido's growth in the next few years, especially in terms of team, offices, assets?
Our 5 to 7 year financial plan is to take our company from the $30 billion today to somewhere between 150 and 200 billion. And in order to do so, we're going to have to attract, again, the right talent, maintain our culture, but there's certain geographical areas of the country that we are trying to expand in: Seattle, Minnesota, Detroit, Cincinnati, and a few other areas that I feel like we are light on. And it's that geography and that talent that's really going to increase Lido's growth exponentially.
As you look at the M&A landscape, how do you approach valuations and acquisition in today's market?
Well, very carefully. And as a CPA, obviously, a lot of the initial due diligence is very quantitatively based before it becomes qualitative. And coming out of a very low interest rate environment, we saw a lot of firms spending a lot of money, perhaps that they didn't have on credit lines. And that worked until it didn't. And when we saw interest rates, run up over 500 basis points, it's a much different risk profile to borrow money when your all-in costs are 10, 11, 12% versus when it might have been 7 or 8%. So when looking at these companies, you really got to understand their finances. You got to understand the growth rate and the integration of that company into the Lido ecosystem. How will it grow post-transaction?
AI is a hot topic right now. How do you think it will play a role at Lido while still keeping that personal hands-on approach that your clients value so much?
Yeah, I don't believe AI is ever going to replace the advisor. People want to have human interaction. They want to have human relationships. But I think AI is going to materially affect the industry, but more from an operational efficiency perspective. And if you can train the AI bots to do some of the more repetitive, mundane tasks that people are doing, I think what you'll see is obviously higher operational efficiency, but it should increase margins for RAAs over time.
What would you say is the most challenging part about being the CEO at Lido? You have to manage the growth. You got to worry about the culture. What's your biggest focus?
Yeah, I mean, look, the toughest part is maintaining our unique culture and the high standards of client service while still growing rapidly. We're constantly expanding our team and capabilities to serve our clients better, but it's critical that we never compromise on the quality of our people and the commitment to our clients. So you have to find the right balance between growth and preserving what makes Lido special requires constant attention and careful decision making.
I gotta imagine there's a lot of fulfilling parts to your role. What's the most fulfilling part, and what keeps you motivated every day as CEO?
Yeah, what I love most is, again, seeing my clients achieve their personal financial goals, but also while simultaneously seeing the growth of my coworkers. There are people been with us, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years, and just seeing them grow as people, mature, and seeing their careers grow in a material way is extremely motivating and gratifying.
When you step outside the office, how do your personal experiences and interests shape your role as a leader? Does life outside work have an impact on how you approach your day-to-day work at Lido?
When you look at the outside life, just treat people fairly. And if you treat people fairly, everything else is going to work out. Understand that people have personal lives. They can't, dedicate 12 hours a day to their job. Personal issues come up, but if you treat people kindly, everything's going to work out in the long run.
Last one for you. As you look at our industry in a whole, are we doing the right things for investors to be successful?
I mean, some are and some aren't. If you always do the right thing and you truly create an ecosystem where you are a fiduciary to your clients, choosing the lowest cost products, putting the client ahead of yourself, then the answer would be yes. But, you got to be careful. You got to do the right due diligence. And at the end of the day, always do the right thing is how you're going to best serve your clients in this industry.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
To learn more about Lido, please visit lidoadvisors.com, Lido advisors.com. Please follow us for timely updates on X, LinkedIn, and Facebook, all at Advisorpedia. For everyone at Advisorpedia, our engineer Tori Miller, and the Power Your Advice podcast team, this is Doug Heikkinen.